Let's continue to explore the Photoshop workspace. At the top of our window is the application bar. Let's click on the word window on our application bar. Sometimes people refer to this as the window menu. You'll see I have a list of words that are all the panels that are available in Photoshop. The check marks next to those words tell us that those panels are currently displayed and active in our workspace. So you'll see adjustments, color, and layers are the active panels in the expanded panel dock on the right side of our window. The options panel is the panel that's located just below the application bar at the top of our screen, and the tools panel is on the left-hand side of our screen. And we'll look at these later as we work through the series. By selecting any of these titles, for instance, let's click on Character. When we select a panel from the window menu, that panel becomes active in our workspace. I've selected the word Character, so our Character panel has become active, and you'll notice that the icon has been added to the icon view in our collapsed panel dock in our workspace. When we selected Character, it actually brought a panel group, which also includes Paragraph. We can click on the word Character just like we did previously to collapse it, or when it's open in active view, we can choose Window and select Character to remove the check mark, and it collapses. Notice now Character and Paragraph remain on the panel dock that's in icon view. Let's again click on Window up on the application bar. Let's point to the word Workspace. You'll notice because of the arrow next to Workspace, we have a submenu. The Workspace submenu shows us a variety of pre-designed workspaces. You'll notice the check mark is next to Essentials. That's the workspace we've been working in. You'll also see it says Default next to it. That tells us that this is the default workspace for Photoshop, so when we open the program, that's the workspace that will open. Below that, you'll see there's a list of various workspaces for different types of workflow: 3D, motion, painting, photography, and topography. These are designed to be workflows for that type of work. You'll notice that when we select the 3D workspace, the panels changed, bringing active panels that would be used in the 3D environment. If I go back to Window, Workspace, now I see the check mark next to 3D that tells me that that's the active workspace. If we choose Painting, you'll notice that the workspace again changes, different panels become active, and now we see panels that involve brushes. Choose the Window menu again on the application bar, Workspace, and let's go down to Topography. The Topography workspace displays panels related to type. So what we see here are two panel groups, Character and Paragraph styles and character styles. Now as I begin to work with this workspace, I may find that I don't like those panel groupings. You can change any workspace and design it any way you want and create a custom workspace. So let's do that. I want to combine Character and character styles as one panel group, and then Paragraph and Paragraph styles as a second panel group. So by clicking on the tab for Character, where the title is, if I click and drag the tab, I can bring out that panel. It now becomes a floating panel, which I can place anywhere on my screen. If you're working with dual monitors, you can actually drag these to a separate screen and give yourself more real estate for your document. You'll notice, just like it did in my panel group or in my dock, I have the double arrows at the top, which allow me to collapse it to icons. By clicking on the icon, I can then see my panel. Clicking it again, I collapse my panel. So I can make a little floating dock of just an icon. Clicking on my arrow again, now I click back to expand panels, and I'm back to the expanded view of my character panel. By double clicking on the word Character, I can collapse my panel so I just see my title of my tab. Clicking it again will expand it. So I can click and drag this and place this anywhere on the screen I would want to. Now I said I wanted to group Character and character styles together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Character Styles tab, I'm going to drag it out next to Character. When I bring it next to the tab in the Character panel, you'll notice that I get what's called a drop zone. A drop zone is the blue rectangle. When I release, Character Styles now becomes part of a panel group with Character. And just like before, I can treat it just like any other panel group. Let's bring Paragraph down to Paragraph Styles. By clicking and dragging, I see my drop zone and I release, and now I've got a panel group. Now I want to bring the character panel group to the right-hand side and be a part of that expanded dock. But I don't want them to be within the panel group with paragraph. I want it to be its own panel group. So when I click and I drag, I'm going to grab the gray bar at the top of my panel group. When I drag that and bring it over, you'll see here's my drop zone. If I let go right now, that panel group is now going to become a part of the other panel group. So I would have 4 tabs or 4 panels within one group. But I don't want it within that group. I want it to be its own group. So I'm going to move my mouse slightly up, and now you'll see a blue line rather than the rectangle. This tells me that when I release, my panel group is now going to be its own grouping, and it's going to be placed above the paragraph group. And just like before, this is treated just like the panel dock I had previously. I can collapse it, I can expand it, I can click on the various panels. If I decide I do like this setup better than the one that Photoshop had for me, I can save this. If you'll notice on the right-hand side here, just above my panel dock, you'll see the word typography. That was the name of the workspace we were working with. If I click on typography, which is called the workspace switcher, I can now select one of those other workspaces, which we also saw under the window menu. By selecting new workspace, I could save this workspace to use later, and it would be added to my list. And it would always be available when I opened up Photoshop. I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to save this. Again, let's click on the workspace switcher. You'll also notice near where it says new workspace, I have the choice to reset my workspace. Currently I'm in typography, so if I choose reset, it's going to reset my typography workspace back to the standard settings that Adobe had for me when I opened the program. So you'll see character and paragraph are back together again, and the styles for paragraph and character are back together. The workspace switcher again, if we click at the top, we can return back to our Essentials workspace. And you'll notice now in the workspace switcher where reset now becomes reset Essentials. So again, the reset will change based on the workspace that you are working in and allow you to reset it back to the default for that workspace.